Good morning, gorgeous. How are you ladies doing this morning? I hope you're all doing wonderful. Welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Daff. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm so excited that you're here. Today, we're talking about a really important part of being a beautiful feminine woman, and that is your inner self, the inner workings that show up on the outside of your personality. We all know being beautiful is what attracts people to us, having a beautiful walk, a beautiful smile, beautiful clothes, all of the good stuff. But it's not what gets people to stay. It's not what helps you to keep a job. It's not what helps you to be in a loving marriage. It's not what helps your children to actually want to spend time with you and love on you and be with you. That comes from the inner woman, what shows up in your personality eventually. And that's why we have to talk about this. This is about your spirit. This is about bringing down that rash, harshness, the things that just make you feel like you're enraged, and harnessing it so that you can be a gentle woman on the inside. A woman that people feel comfortable walking up to, talking to, sharing things with, and just making their lives more beautiful. So I want you to go ahead and sit back, relax, get something to drink, get something to write with, take a deep breath, because this is something that you can do. And I promise once you do it, you will really be able to rest in your femininity. Let's talk about having a gentle and quiet spirit. So where did I get this term from? A gentle and quiet spirit. Where does this come from? This is actually a scripture in the Bible that talks about what real beauty is for a woman. And when thinking about who you are as a woman, when trying to cultivate the true, authentic you, the best place to go is where you began, which is with God. And in the Word of God, God tells you as a woman what really makes you beautiful, not just your outer appearance. And the scripture reads, "Your beauty should not come from outward adornment, such as braided hair and the wearing of gold jewelry and fine clothes. Instead, it should be that of your inner self, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight. Like Sarah, who obeyed Abraham and called him her Lord." This is out of 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 4. So that is straight out of the Bible, and that's really just speaking to you not focusing only on your outer beauty, your beautiful hair and your jewelry and your clothes, but putting worth on your spirit and being a gentle and quiet woman. Now, some people may think, well, I'm not quiet. I'm actually loud. I have ADHD. Like, there's no way I can be quiet, or whatever that means. And that's because you're focusing more so on the behavior versus the spirit. When you have a gentle and quiet spirit, it means that you are able to control yourself. Control that part of you that wants to leap out and snatch someone's wig off. That part of you that wants to punch someone in the face. That part of you that feels like a lioness sometimes, especially when it's inappropriate, and pulling it back in and releasing it to God and choosing to be a beautiful person regardless of how the other person is treating you. Does it mean that you let people walk over you? No, it does not. What it means is that you know how to control yourself. And when a person is interacting with you, they're not afraid that you're going to leap out and attack them verbally or physically. And the reason why so many people, so many women, I'm speaking directly about women, struggle with having a gentle and quiet spirit is because there's a lot of internal chaos. A lot of us women are truly stressed with daily life, or stressed with bills, with anxiety, with thinking about the fact that we're not in a relationship, our relationship is not working out. thinking about the future that we don't have, being jealous of other people. Our minds are consumed with negativity from social media and from friends and gossiping and all of this stuff that we're not calm. We're not gentle. We're brash. We're waiting for someone to piss us off so that we can give them a piece of our mind. That speaks to the underlying reason why we're ready to snap. And some of us, and I can speak to this because I've talked about this personally, I have experienced this where we've used other means to try to get ourselves to be more gentle and more calm, like whether that's like drinking wine or taking marijuana or pills to relax us, almost to sedate us to the point where we feel like, okay, now we can handle things in a way that's civil. But that's not the answer. Drugs, alcohol, pills, all that stuff is not the answer. That is only going to harm you and open you up to lots of evil and damage your body and your mind. The answer is seeking God. Seeking God to help you to learn what about you needs to change. If you are prone to anger, what are ways that you can decompress and release that anger and frustration, which is usually rooted in fear of something, and get it out of you so that this other piece does not overtake you? And over time, when you start releasing your worries and your anxieties to God, He will change you. You will start to produce fruit. You will start to produce something inside of you that is a blessing of the Holy Spirit, and that is self-control. And that self-control will start to kind of creep up where you're about to say something super rude and it gets pulled back, and then you don't. And you do it over and over and over again. You practice listening. You practice holding your tongue. You practice not judging someone right away and giving them the benefit of the doubt. And over time, as you continue to do this, you will see that this will become who you are. You will begin to see that fruit really blossom in your life and that change happen. And you won't recognize yourself. I know I didn't, because I will say to myself, 3 years ago, if the same person would have talked to me like this is what I would have said and done. I see a completely different person because I've really been renewed. I've been changed by God. And as a feminine woman, this is so important, because what happens a lot of times is that you look so beautiful on the outside. You're elegant, you're perfect looking, right? Like you just walked out of a magazine. I see you guys on Instagram. You ladies look top tier. But what happens when someone starts speaking to you? What happens when you get annoyed, irritated? What happens in your relationships? What happens in your friendships? Are you quick to put someone in their place? Are you quick to show someone how you really feel? Do you have time today? Right? All of these things that the culture tells us, like this is how you stand up for yourself, really isn't true. You being able to take something in and think first before reacting, that is where true peace comes. That's how you truly become beautiful. And guess what? When you cultivate a gentle and quiet spirit, it shows up. You radiate from the outside. You can tell when a person looks at you, they can tell this person is different. It's not just a regular beauty like, oh, she's a pretty girl. It's like, no, this woman is beautiful. Because there's something that radiates from the inside out, and that is God. That is you having a beautiful, gentle, quiet spirit. The reason why this was something that was weaved into the Bible for women was talking about women who struggle with their husbands not being believers. So a lot of times, and this may be your situation, where you're married to a man who doesn't believe in God, and you do, your spiritual life is so rich and you want him to be a part of it. But if you listen to my content, then you know that one of the worst things to do is to try and drag a man into your spiritual life, try to force anyone to believe what you believe. Everyone's spiritual life, their spiritual journey, their belief in God is their choice. God Himself gave us free will. He gave us the ability to decide on our own. So you must do the same thing for your husband. And if you're doing that, then you may think, well, how can I influence him? How you can influence him is how you behave. That's something special about the way you behave is what will intrigue a man to think, how is she like this? That is so beautiful. I wonder if it's this part of her life that gets her to behave like this. There's this beautiful sense of respect that you get that draws people towards God. So it's not even just about being beautiful. It's that your beauty has a purpose. And as a feminine woman, your beauty always has a purpose, whether you know it or not. You're not just beautiful to take cute pictures on Instagram or to sleep with a bunch of men. You're beautiful to draw people towards something, towards whatever God created you for, whatever your purpose is. That's why you're beautiful. But your beauty is not just outward. It has to be internal first. One of the ways that you can measure whether or not you are really cultivating a gentle and quiet spirit is your delivery. How do you speak? How do you deliver the words that need to be said? When you're talking to someone and you're saying something that they probably don't want to hear, or you are just having a normal conversation, because I will tell you, especially you ladies that live in maybe the inner cities or live in pretty rough neighborhoods, the common language, the common tone and speech is very abrasive, very hard, because it's a protective factor. It's a shell, right? That can be your everyday speech. So this can be your everyday speech, or it can be when you have something really serious to say to someone, or you're in the middle of a conversation, a heated conversation, or an argument. Your delivery matters. How you say what you say. You might just be giving someone advice. Maybe they didn't ask for your advice, or maybe they did ask for your advice. The way it comes out, the delivery, is what tells a person if you're really in your feminine energy. One of the most beautiful things about feminine women is that when we are saying things, we're not saying it in a way where we are forcing anyone, where we are harming anyone, right? We are nurturers. We are here to pour into people in a way that helps them become better. And if we are saying something that could potentially hurt someone's feelings, or is something just very serious, or maybe we don't agree with something, it's said in a way that leaves room for conversation and leaves room for them to contemplate or think, especially when you're talking to a man, allowing him to think. And that delivery is free. It's open. It's breathable delivery. So you'll say what you need to say in a way that just kind of flows and is soft, and it's like, take it or leave it. Either way, I don't care. That's really the essence behind it. It's like, take it or leave it. Either way, I don't care. I'm not going to shove it down your throat. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to use profanity. I'm cultivating this presence of ease, even when something is disturbing. Now, obviously, when you're talking to your children or you're talking to someone at work, work is a completely different environment, but still, having a gentle and quiet spirit is still important. It's still important for a person, especially your child, to know that they can talk to you about anything. Your husband would also really appreciate knowing that he can talk to you about anything. So if he comes and tells you, it says on the news today that A, B, C, and D, and you're like, you believe that? That's stupid. That's not true. Like, you're ready to fight. You're ready to shove your opinion down his throat. You're not ready to listen. You're not ready to have a real conversation. That's off-putting. And when you do that, he'll stop coming up to you and telling you stuff. He'll stop wanting to have normal, casual conversations because he knows he's going to be met with arguments and forceful opinions. When your spirit is gentle and quiet, a person knows that they can come and talk to you, and maybe you'll talk about your opinion. Maybe you won't. Maybe your opinion really is not as important because you have enough wisdom to realize that they did not come to you for your opinion. They came to you just to chit chat, just to talk to you, just to interact with you. And that's fine, especially your children. they really appreciate not always being scolded and lectured every time they approach you with a casual conversation. I remember thinking sometimes as a teenager, like, this conversation just turned into a lecture. How did that happen? Why did I allow myself to do this, right? You want to make sure that you are presenting an atmosphere of peace. Some of the things that I talked a little bit earlier about, some of the things that can prevent you from having a gentle and quiet spirit, because I think that if I only tell you about how to have it, it doesn't make a lot of sense because there are reasons behind why you don't have it. I think it's almost easier to stop doing those things, and then naturally you'll start having a more gentle and quiet spirit. Some of those things are things like resentment. If you have things inside of you that have been boiling up and boiling up and boiling up, your spirit cannot be quiet and gentle. Your spirit is ready to snap because you're tired of it. So that's why it's so necessary as a feminine woman to have boundaries, to have things that you just, no, I'm not doing that. No, I need time to myself. Oh, no. I'm canceling, right? These things help you from feeling like you're being used, taken advantage of. Whatever resentment that you're holding on to is being released constantly. So you're not pent up with anything, right? And you're free to just decide, change your mind. It can also stem from resentment from not speaking your true feelings. So if you have been brainwashed, or you've been molded, or you've been told even by coaches or by family that as a feminine woman, you do not speak your feelings, then you will repress your true feelings. And if you have been taught that you have to just agree with everyone. And I've actually seen people do this, I've actually been in the presence of sweet, sweet women who haven't developed a sense of self yet. So no matter who they're around, they're constantly just bobbling their head. Oh, yes to everything. Everything is yes. Everything they're agreeing with. There's no sense of, that's interesting. Huh, I haven't thought about that. Or, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. Or I don't really agree, but I understand where you're coming from. There's no shift. It's always yes. That can start to build up anger and repressed feelings inside of you, especially if you're dealing with a man, because you're not expressing yourself, and you have to express yourself somewhere. Even if it's not with him every time, it can be with your girlfriends, it can be with family, it can be in a journal, it can be to God. But allowing yourself to release helps you not to have that pent up resentment that will cause you to have an attitude, that will cause you to snap. Another thing that can creep up and stop you from exhibiting a gentle and quiet spirit is having too many things undone. If your life is full of chaos, if you are too busy, you have too many appointments, too many projects, your kids are in too many extracurricular activities, if you're having a hard time keeping up with your life, this can cause chaos mentally. And that mental chaos can cause you to just always feel agitated, ready to snap. You can't mentally relax because you're thinking about too many things. And as women, we're able to multitask in a sense that we're able to juggle mentally different things, but it doesn't mean that that should be your norm. That comes more in the sense of like cooking dinner while watching your toddler and looking out for your husband because maybe he may need something. That kind of multitasking, right? Not literally juggling so many things with everything falling out of your hands constantly. That drains you. And femininity is all about the ease, all about taking things slowly, not allowing the stressors to weigh you down. But there are some stressors that will inevitably weigh you down because there's just too much stuff happening. And when that happens, you are liable to snap and you lose that gentle and quiet spirit that you've been cultivating. For those of you who are dealing with more serious internal chaos, like unresolved trauma, PTSD, things that have happened to you as a child or even as an adult that you are holding on to, maybe a really awful breakup, maybe a severe illness or something where you just feel angry with life, angry with men, angry with people, then therapy is necessary, because that is what will help you to unveil, take off those things that have harmed you or that you are perceiving in a way that is still holding you down, still keeping you captive, and break out of that so that you can start to cultivate a gentle and quiet spirit. When you're at odds with the world, when you feel like people are always trying to get you, when you don't trust other women because the last woman you trust slept with your boyfriend, when you're in a place where you feel like people are always judging you or you never feel accepted, maybe you're biracial and you look very different than everyone at your school or everyone in your organization, and you feel like girls just don't like you. Every time you walk in a room, they're hating on you, right? You're gonna have up a shell. You're gonna not just feel safe. And that feeling of fear or just lack of safety will cause you to put up a wall that will rob you of having a gentle and quiet spirit, because you're always on the lookout for who's going to hurt you next. And a lot of times, yes, my love, you have every right to feel like that, because you've been hurt, you've been used, you've been in situations that you felt were completely out of your control. And that's okay to feel like that. But you have to work through those things, because it's robbing you of you. And you want to be who God created you to be. You want to live the life that was made for you before all that crap happened. You want to be able to get back to that person. And a lot of times, that person, that woman, is impossible to find by yourself. And you do need to spend time in prayer. You need to spend time in counseling, and you need to be around other people, other women especially, who are happy with their lives. One of the ways that you really get robbed of having a gentle and quiet spirit is being with other women who are unhappy. Women who love to talk badly about other women. Women who are always gossiping about people, who always have an attitude, who talk bad about their husbands, who talk bad about their children. Thinking about it just brings me down when I think about it, because you will see your life completely flip for the better when you start being around women who truly love their lives. They love being a woman. They take things as they come, even when things happen, because life is life and things happen and bad things happen, but they're able to frame it in a way that's still positive. Your life will change being around women like this. And it's better to be by yourself than to be around women like this, because they pull every great thing out of you out, and they fill you up with toxic behavior, toxic attitudes, poison. Toxic means that if you take it, if you accidentally drink it, you might die or you'll be seriously injured. It's toxic. It's something that's going to hurt you. And cultivating friendships with women who love themselves, love life, love their husbands, love their children, love their jobs, love their bodies. They just are grateful for things. You'll start to see how you can mold into a better woman, one that truly is gentle and quiet internally. The quietness is internally. As a woman, my love, you are so strong. Just ask any woman who has ever had a child. The amount of strength you have is unreal. You are so strong, physically, mentally, and emotionally. You really are. But that strength needs to be harnessed. I watched a video, and I will link it if I can find it, of a beautiful woman who talked about having a gentle and quiet spirit. And she talked about how a woman has the strength to push that baby out. And she talked about it in the video, like statistically, what they said about the strength that it takes to push a baby out. But I think it's like the strength of like 4 men or something. It's something pretty significant. I don't want to misquote her. But that same force, that same strength that it took for that woman to push the baby out, she then carries that beautiful new baby in her arms so gently. And although she has the power that she just exhibited a few minutes ago, she shows love, gentleness, softness, caressing and loving and nurturing that baby. And as a woman, that's what it is to have a gentle and quiet spirit. You have the ability to do whatever you want to do, to cuss out everyone on your way to work if you want to. But you also have the ability and the strength that it takes more strength to have a gentle and quiet spirit than it does to lash out at everyone and in every situation. So I want you to think about this. I want you to think in your mind, is there anyone that you can think of right now that you know has a gentle and quiet spirit? And I'm not talking about people who are actually quiet, because that's different. And some of those people are not gentle and they don't have a quiet spirit. They're just quiet natured, but there's like a lion inside that just roar, when something happens. I'm talking about people who have a gentle and quiet spirit. You can be high-spirited. Again, you can have ADHD and be bouncing all over the place. That doesn't mean that you're not gentle. I know plenty of people who have ADHD and they are the most gentle people I've ever met. They have the most quiet spirits. They're beautiful people to speak to. They have a beautiful, tender, loving heart. And their personality is high-spirited and full of life, and that's beautiful. But when they talk to you, you know that you're going to be met with peace. And that's what it's all about, my love. You can be a gentle woman. You can have a gentle and quiet spirit when you release everything to God and you have Him help you and show you ways that you can start to change. But that is how you become a feminine woman. When you're able to talk to your husband and he says something you don't really like, or your boyfriend, and instead of lashing out at him, instead of giving him a piece of your mind, instead of giving him the silent treatment, you take it in and you think about it and you respond in a way that doesn't hurt his feelings, bring him down, or leave him worse off than he came to you. And this goes for every relationship in your life. And when you do this, you'll start to see that you will be a magnet for people. People will love to be in your presence, just to talk to you, to bounce ideas off of you, to give you things. You will just be a magnet of grace, of love, because no one can resist a feminine woman with a gentle and quiet spirit. So I hope that this information was helpful to you, my love. I thank you for allowing me to pour into you and for taking the time to just receive this information. Hopefully, start to apply this into your life and just start to monitor, start to watch yourself in the way that you interact with people and what sets you off and how fast you go from 0 to 100. And just think about why certain things bother you. Do you feel chaos inside? Or do you feel peace inside? Are you approachable? Are you teachable? Do you have a gentle and quiet spirit? If not, then today is the first day that you're going to start working towards that, and you will have one at the end of it all. I love you so much, and I'm so happy that you're here. Be sure to follow me on my Instagram at Dr. Michelle Daff and at The Dr. Daff Show, and visit my fragrance line, Find Forever Fragrances, and purchase a beautiful feminine fragrance for yourself and someone that you love. And make sure to listen to my podcast, The Dr. Daff Show, on every podcast platform, because I talk way more about femininity there than I do here. And I give you beautiful steps to just make your life more intriguing, more fascinating, and just more fruitful. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.